Have you ever wondered why Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea seem to be increasingly aligned? Today, we're going to explore this fascinating geopolitics puzzle. Our story revolves around four nations: Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea, each with its unique history and global influence. Let me paint a picture for you. Russia, with its vast landmass and military might, has always been a global power. Then we have Iran, rich in culture and oil, strategically located and influential in the Middle East. China, the world's most populous country, is an economic powerhouse and a rising military force. Last but not least, North Korea, a nation known for its secretive regime and nuclear ambitions. Historically, these nations have had their share of conflicts and alliances. But in recent years, we've seen a shift, a kind of unseen alliance forming. What's driving this alignment? Well, it's a mix of shared interests, mutual benefits, and common adversaries. For instance, Russia and China, both permanent members of the UN Security Council, have deepened their ties significantly over the last decade. They've strengthened their defense sectors, conducted joint military drills, and even signed defense pacts. This alignment isn't just military, it extends to diplomatic and economic cooperation too. Meanwhile, Iran and North Korea have found common ground in their defiance against Western sanctions and perceived aggression. Both nations have faced economic hardships due to these sanctions, and this shared adversity has brought them closer. So, what's the glue holding these four nations together? It's their shared opposition to liberal democratic values and the Western world order. It's their desire to reshape global politics in a way that serves their interests. But remember, this unseen alliance isn't as simple as it seems. It's not just about shared values. It's also about common interests, power dynamics, and strategic advantages. Each nation is playing its cards in a way that maximizes its gains while minimizing its losses. Stay tuned as we delve into the timeline of this intriguing alignment. We've got a lot more to unpack, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. The roots of this alignment didn't sprout overnight. Indeed, the beginnings of this international camaraderie trace back to several key events and shared sentiments that gradually cemented the bonds between Russia and China. Far from being spontaneous, this alliance has been carefully nurtured over time. It's been marked by significant milestones such as joint military drills and defense pacts. These exercises and agreements have not merely been symbolic gestures, but tangible steps towards a unified front. Then there's the shared opposition to liberal democratic values. This ideological common ground has been a driving force behind the deepening ties between these two nations. Their mutual disdain for Western political norms has acted as a glue, binding them together in a shared stance against a common perceived adversary. But it's not just about shared ideologies and military cooperation. The West's sanctions and perceived aggression have also played a pivotal role in shaping this alignment. When the West imposed sanctions on Russia, for instance, it inadvertently pushed the country closer to China. This punitive measure, intended to isolate, ended up fostering an even stronger bond between these two nations. Perceived aggression from the West has had a similar effect, further solidifying their alliance. Moreover, the interplay between these nations has not been limited to the political or military arena. The trade relationships between state-backed defense firms, like Beijing's Polytechnologies and Russian defense companies, have only added another layer of complexity to this growing alliance. However, it's essential to note that this isn't just about Russia and China. There are other players being pulled into this geopolitical vortex. This is where the story gets even more interesting. While these two giants were solidifying their alliance, others were also being drawn into the fold. The next chapter of this tale involves the inclusion of Iran and North Korea into this growing axis. And that's where we'll pick up in the next scene. As Russia and China strengthened their bond, Iran and North Korea were not far behind. As we delve deeper into this increasingly complex geopolitical puzzle, we find that Iran and North Korea have also found common ground with this emergent Russo-Chinese alliance. This alignment is not a random occurrence, but a strategic move driven by shared economic, political, and military interests. Let's start with Iran. Since the fall of the Shah, Iran has been subject to numerous international sanctions, which have had a crippling effect on its economy. Amidst these challenges, Iran has found an ally in Russia and China, both of whom have been instrumental in buffering the impacts of these sanctions. The economic ties have extended into the military domain, with Russia and China playing a pivotal role in bolstering Iran's defense capabilities. the shared interests have been further cemented by a common political ideology that challenges the West's liberal democratic values. Turning our attention to the Korean Peninsula, North Korea's story is not too different. Isolated from much of the world due to its nuclear ambitions and human rights violations, North Korea has been pushed into a corner. But even in this isolation, it has found friends in Russia and China. Both nations have provided North Korea with crucial economic support, helping it to withstand the impacts of global sanctions. Moreover, military cooperation has also been a significant part of this relationship, with China and Russia aiding North Korea in advancing its military technology. But it's not just shared interests that bind these nations together. External factors like international sanctions and political isolation have played a significant role in pushing Iran and North Korea closer to Russia and China. This alignment provides these nations with a sense of security, a shield against the global pressures they face. This alignment is not just about shared interests, but also about survival in an increasingly polarized world. As we move forward, it's important to keep an eye on this developing relationship, for it has the potential to reshape global dynamics in significant ways. Fast forward to today, and the alignment between these four nations is stronger than ever. The ties that bind Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea are not just diplomatic or ideological, they are increasingly economic and military. Take, for example, the ongoing trade relationships between Chinese and Russian defense sectors. Despite international sanctions and widespread condemnation of Russia's actions in Ukraine, Chinese state-owned defense firms have maintained their ties with their Russian counterparts. Even as the world watches, shipments of defense materials, including helicopter parts, continue to flow from Beijing to Moscow. This is not a one-sided relationship. The trade data reveal a pattern of ongoing exchanges between key companies in both countries' military-industrial complexes. While the goods traded may not be directly linked to Russia's war efforts, the potential for China to provide lethal aid to Russia is a troubling possibility that the international community cannot ignore. Then there's the strategic alignment under Putin and Xi. Over the past decade, the enduring ties between the Chinese and Russian defense sectors have only grown stronger. This deepening strategic alignment is a clear indication of the direction these nations are heading. But it's not just about Russia and China. Iran and North Korea are also part of this complex equation. While their roles may be less visible, their alignment with Russia and China has significant implications for global politics and security. The strengthening of these alliances is not without its repercussions. The West has been forced to reassess its security strategies, with NATO planning to counter the combined threat posed by these nations. The growing alignment of Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea is reshaping the geopolitical landscape, forcing nations worldwide to rethink their alliances and strategies. The question now is not if these alliances will impact global security, but how. The alignment of these four nations is not just a political issue, it's a global security concern. With each passing day, the ties between these nations grow stronger, raising serious questions about the future of international relations. This alignment raises questions about the future of international relations and global security. What does the future hold for this alignment? A question that has, undoubtedly, crossed the minds of many. As we look ahead, we see a world where the alignment between Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea could significantly influence the landscape of global politics and security. Consider, for instance, the potential for a new power bloc, a bloc that could challenge the existing world order and shift the balance of power. This alignment, driven by shared strategic interests and a common opposition to Western ideologies, could present a significant challenge to the dominance of Western powers. On the other hand, there are also potential opportunities. This alignment could serve as a catalyst for other countries and international organizations to reassess their strategies, align their resources, and foster stronger alliances. It could push the global community to come together in ways we have never seen before. The defense sector ties between China and Russia, as seen in the recent news, are a clear indication of this growing alignment. But it's not just about the military. The implications extend far beyond that. Economically, these four nations could create a formidable alliance, potentially leading to new trade routes, shared resources, and a shift in economic power. The challenge, however, lies in managing the potential risks and threats this alignment could pose. The enduring ties between these four nations could lead to a significant increase in their combined military capabilities. This, in turn, raises concerns about the potential escalation of conflicts and the destabilization of regions. In the face of these potential scenarios, it is crucial for the global community to be proactive. We need to understand the motivations behind this alignment, anticipate its possible trajectories, and prepare for its potential impacts. The alignment between Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea is not just about these four countries. It's about the ripple effects it could have on the rest of the world. It's about the shifts in power dynamics, the changes in global policies, and the transformation of international relations. As we watch these four nations draw closer, we must also consider the broader implications for our global community. The future may be uncertain, but one thing is clear. This alignment will play a pivotal role in shaping our world in the years to come. Scene script. So, what have we learned today? We've journeyed through an intricate tapestry of alliances, tracing back to their early beginnings. We've seen how Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea have increasingly found common ground and unity in their shared interests and opposition to Western ideologies. We've expanded our understanding to include the current state of this alignment. We've examined the deep-seated defense ties between China and Russia, the continuous trade despite global condemnations, and the potential implications of these enduring relationships. And we've peeked into the future, contemplating the potential implications of this growing alignment. We've questioned whether the proposed defense budget of the United States meets the security goals in the face of these challenges, and considered the need for a comprehensive review of defense roles and missions. We've explored the strengthening ties and the potential security threats they pose. And while this alliance is seen as a threat by the West, we've learned that it's a complex relationship based on common interests rather than shared values. The alignment of Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea is a fascinating and complex topic that will continue to shape our world in the coming years.